Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, joining us from the US is Josh Lambert. Hey, Josh. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Vasco. Really looking forward to this.
So Josh is an Agile coach at a large financial institution. He has been through a few different Agile transformations. I'm sure there's a lot of stories there that we will explore this week, and became a Scrum Master in one of those early transformations. Loved the role, where he stayed for 6 years, and after which he transitioned into an Agile coach role, which he's holding at the moment. So Josh, that was a short intro. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in the northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area my entire life. Had a brief stint in Raleigh, North Carolina for some training, and but since then I've come back home and been in the industry for about almost 12 years. And through that, got wife and 2 little boys. Got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So my hands are quite full, and some days I feel like I'm a walking zombie. But yeah, that's just a little bit about myself. And so how I became a Scrum Master. So when I first got out of school, at least in this area where I'm at in the US, Agile wasn't kind of full. It's grown a lot since, but back 12 years ago was, I think, had little sprinkles throughout here. But so I started in as a systems analyst, and did that for a couple of years. Mostly, as I said, we were waterfall. I was lots of documentation and analysis presentations, and not the most fun work, but it was work. And then one day the leaders came in and said, "Hey, we're going Agile and we're going all in, and we're not going to just hand you the keys of the Ferrari and you never driven a car before. Give at it." They said, "All right, everyone's going to go to Scrum Master certification training. We're going to do trainings on how to use this new tool we're bringing in called Jira. We're going to do a lot of Agile 101 sessions that we're going to have some outside vendors come in and teach us." And I just completely loved it. As I said before, I wasn't kind of loving the whole writing documentation and all of this analysis. And so we got into Agile, and it wasn't great as expected when you're brand new. We were all on multiple teams or get moved around every couple of months, and product owners and Scrum Masters and analysts, developers, all at individual roles, and of course all of them were on multiple teams as well. We have product owners on multiple teams, which can be quite messy, as
indeed quite challenging.
You can imagine. Yeah. So so one day I was one of the teams I got moved on to was a pretty large initiative that was close to wrapping up, but they needed a little bit more. They need an extra team member the last 6 months before the work was closing. And during that time, that product manager had become, she was getting ready to transition into the Scrum Master role because, her work was closing up of what she was doing. And, but she and I, we worked really closely together. And so that work closed out, and I got moved to another team. Was quite bummed because I love that team and working with all those people. And then one day, she comes to my desk, knocks on my desk, said, "Hey, can you come to my office?" And my heart sinks. I'm like, "Oh no,
what did I do?
Am I in trouble? Am I getting let go? Something. I just was like, your heart sinks when a manager comes and says, "Hey, come to my office." And she sits me down and then closes the door. I'm like, "Oh no!" And she says, "Hey, have you ever thought about becoming a Scrum Master?" I said, "Oh, I don't know." She's like, I just think what I see in you, I think you'd be really good at it. I have an opening that's just come open on my team, and I really liked working with you. And I think you should consider it. But she said, give it over the weekend, and when you come back, let me know if it's something you want to give it a trial on for 6 months, or give it at least 6 months, but give a trial on for 6 months. And then if you don't like it, we can, place you back where you want to go. And she always jokes. She always says, "Yeah, that wasn't." I kind of fibbed about that, but anyways, I said, "Yeah." I came back that next weekend and said, "Yep, let's do it." And it's been complete career changing. Just so much in a better way. And I can't thank that person enough for just seeing that in me before I did. So.
Absolutely. And of course, those early moments can also be some difficult moments. I don't know if you're going to tell us a story of that time, but we're going to talk about a failure, Josh. And of course, we do that because we want to learn from it so that we may avoid some of the mistakes you have done. So let's dive into that. Tell us a story of a difficult moment you had as a Scrum Master. Walk us through the process, right? Like how it started, how you started noticing, okay, something is going wrong, and what happened then. Like walk us through that story. We'll dive into the takeaways later. Tell us that story first, Josh.
Yeah, so I actually had this one team. I went on and took a little bit of time to build them up, and we were at a point where we were thriving. We were closing almost all of our stories out. The team just got along so well. Planning was always great. Burn downs, as a Scrum Master, you're looking at your burn downs or you're establishing sprint goals. And we were just hitting check mark after check mark. And one thing I just didn't think about, like, hey, what if something gets impacted here? We're just doing so well. You're just kind of looking down the tunnel and not looking more out. And what I failed at is realizing if that individual, an individual leaves or moves to another team, you can struggle. And I guess what I failed to add was one thing that I kind of didn't really kind of hit the team on was while we were thriving, we had several different applications that we owned, and we had specific team members that really took ownership of those applications and didn't do a lot of great knowledge sharing. And that, I think, was on me as the Scrum Master to say, hey, we need to continually share this with each other and find opportunities to work together on this and learn. Unfortunately, I was just so focused on how great we're doing and sharing across with the leaders and all that it stung us when I had a team member come to me and who was our rock star team member too, and said, hey, you got a time for a quick call, and let me know that he accepted a new role internal to the company, but totally different business unit was going to be gone. So, and now I was completely excited for him. I don't want to hold a team member back, obviously, but I realized at that point, like, oh, I kind of failed at this. I should have realized that this could happen at any time. This was peak COVID time, so there were lots of folks moving around across the industry, right? And didn't really kind of see that because I was just so focused on the tunnel. So that's kind of what kind of stung me on that one. So as a coach, I always kind of
if you would go back in time and kind of relive that story again before the team member left, and to ensure that the team would survive and why not also thrive, even if a team member would leave, what would you do differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would. It was just it was a failure now, but I think it was a good learning long term, at least for me personally, because what I would do differently is start. Now I have a story to tell, to share that with folks. So even as an Agile coach, I share that with a lot of Scrum Masters I work with now, and talking through like T-shaping, educating the teams. Like, here's how we T-shape our team. Is there opportunities? And I started bringing this up right after that happened. Was is there opportunity to swarm? Maybe creating some exercises around like the importance of swarming together on stories. And you can always say, hey, we got to think through that. If a team member, everyone gets vacations, gets time off. We shouldn't be, hey, let's just wait till this team member comes back. We should continually be able to move. We may not be a complete 100% expert on it, but if we can get 75, 80% of the way there, that'll keep us moving as a team and not just, we'll just plan around it until they come back. So, that's, continually help the team learn more. I would say that's my biggest thing is that I would recommend to folks.
Absolutely. And it's quite easy to understand if we have a skill sharing problem, if we do something like the skill matrix, for example, where we list the skills that the team needs and also who has it, and you see gaps, and you can work
Yep.
with the team to figure out how to cover those gaps if that is the case.
Absolutely.
And of course, that might be one of the aspects we bring into retrospectives as well, right? Like, so team, how do we make sure everybody can go on vacation and not get a call in the middle of vacation that they suddenly need to come back? And that's
Exactly.
something people can get behind, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think, as you said, like a skills matrix, like we've done, I've shared, like that's how important that is, because you actually can build a matrix and show a visual with the team. I think sometimes they don't think about that until they see something visually in front of them, like, oh yeah, we only got one person that knows this. What if this happens? Like, what do we do? So how do we kind of help up our skills a little bit in that area?
Yeah, especially if you own quite a lot of different code bases, like in your case, multiple applications. There might be even applications nobody has access to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And being ready for the team to move on, and or any team member to move on and find a better opportunity for themselves. Getting ready for that is also a way to reward team members for the great work that they are doing, and can be also very motivational.
Totally agree.
Great story. Thank you for sharing, Josh. Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests help their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.